The Whispering Darkness. I am a writer, a professional storyteller. People love to share their stories with me, and I love to listen. Over the years, I have heard tales that sent chills down my spine, but nothing has ever made me question my own sanity like this one. Back in 2023, a friend approached me and asked me to visit a family with a story. I avoided it. Maybe it was instinct, or perhaps just my busy schedule, but I ignored the request for nearly a year and a half. Then one day my friend brought it up again. This time, there was something different in his voice, a quiet urgency, a whisper of dread. And so, I finally agreed. Now, after listening to their story, I cannot explain what I feel. It's as if something has latched onto my soul, refusing to let go. I first visited the family with my friend, but they were short on time. We exchanged numbers and I thought that was the end of it. But then, I received a message, an invitation to visit them alone. Something deep inside me screamed to ignore it. My gut, my sixth sense, every fiber of my being warned me to stay away. But my professionalism demanded otherwise. And so, against my better judgment, I got into my car and drove towards the house. The moment I arrived, an eerie chill ran down my spine. The house stood silent and still, like a predator watching its prey. The air felt thick, oppressive, but I pushed forward. A woman, about 34 years old, greeted me. She lived there alone with her dog in a house given to her by her father. She was calm, too calm, as if carrying a weight too heavy for one soul to bear. And then she started telling me the story. Her mother had died, giving birth to her younger sister, leaving only their father and her to raise the child. Her sister, she told me, was beautiful, almost unnaturally so. By the time she was 21, she had started working in a hotel while studying hospitality management. Then he arrived, a man charming, sophisticated, and seemingly perfect. He was a businessman, staying for a 3-day trip. There was nothing unusual at first, but then he returned just 2 weeks later. Recognizing a familiar face, the hotel management welcomed him warmly, and so did her sister. Their attraction was immediate. They started dating, but time was limited. He was from another city, and she was busy with work. Then one day, he told her about his plans to buy a hotel in another city. He wanted her to come with him, offering her a job, even 10% shares in the business. It was an offer too good to refuse. She resigned and left with him. The day she departed was heavy with sorrow, but there was trust. She would be fine, or so they thought. The very next day, the elder sister tried calling. No response. She assumed they were busy. A week passed, then another. Every call went unanswered. Then her phone was switched off. Panic set in. Without wasting time, the elder sister decided to visit the city herself. What she found was horrifying. The so-called hotel was an old, decaying building, lifeless, eerie, and drenched in a sense of abandonment. There were no staff, no guests, nothing. Driven by fear, she stepped inside. The silence was unbearable. Each step echoed like a scream in an empty hall. She called out her sister's name, no answer. She searched every floor, every room. Nothing, until a sound from upstairs. Her heart pounded as she followed it. And there on the cold, dusty floor lay a girl. Her sister, unconscious. She rushed her to the hospital. For an entire week, her sister didn't speak. She only stared, eyes hollow, face pale, lips trembling. The doctors found nothing physically wrong, but something inside her had broken. She took her home. That's when it started. The first night, she woke up to the sound of whispering. Her sister was standing at the window, talking to someone unseen. Her voice was low, in a language she had never heard before. She called her name, but the girl didn't respond. When she called again, her sister turned. Her eyes pure black, her skin red, as if burned, her lips curled into an unnatural grin. The elder sister ran. The next night, it happened again. This time, she decided not to tell anyone. She convinced herself it was just trauma, that her sister would recover. But then, on the third night, she woke to the sound of their dog barking frantically outside her sister's door. She rushed to the room. The dog bolted inside, growling, then suddenly stopped. Its body stiffened, its tail tucked between its legs. It whimpered, then sat down as if paralyzed by terror. Its eyes fixed on something beyond the window. But there was nothing there. She couldn't explain it. She finally took her sister to a psychologist, hoping for answers. But even after several sessions, nothing changed. And then, on the same time and night, the elder sister spoke with me. She is still upstairs, she said. It happens every night. For hours. Sometimes minutes. She speaks in that same voice. I don't understand the words. But I know. Something listens. I hesitated. Should I see her? Should I leave? She's calm now, the sister assured me. You can go up. So, I climbed the stairs. I stepped into her room. She was sitting in a chair, looking at the mirror. Uneaten raw meat sat on the table. She didn't move. No maid would enter her room, even when offered extra money. Her sister cleaned it herself. I stood there frozen. What had happened to her in that hotel? Who was that man? Where was he? Was he even human? Or had something else taken her? All these questions remain unanswered. As I turned to leave, she finally moved. She lifted her head. Her reflection in the mirror was not her own. It smiled and whispered something. I was unable to get it, but she whispered,